Right now, it's one way. They give information, they provide electricity to you, and the information they receive back is how much a particular household has used. Very big, one figure, here's my monthly amount, and you get billed for it. In the future, all the appliances will be smart. So each appliance is going to be able to tell the electricity company, you use the stove this much, you showered this much, you watch TV this much. Everything will be very granular, and it will be in real time and two-way communication. So electricity companies are going to know exactly what you're doing at what times within your household. The academics who are studying this are concerned that this is going to create what they call an entire library of personal information relating to the activities that you engage in within your house. And think about it, in the past, that was sacrosanct, privileged information. Nobody knows what happens inside your house except for you. The home is your castle. Now, your utility will know what you're doing when. So our concern has been you have to protect that information like Fort Knox. You have to have the utmost level of privacy associated with the collection of that information. And you have to ensure customers that no one else is going to have access to this information unless you, the customer, specifically consent to a third party accessing the information in some way that may benefit the customer. In this paper, which we did in partnership with Hydro One in Ontario and Toronto Hydro, the leading two companies that provide over 50% of the electrical usage in the province of Ontario, we partnered with them to create a roadmap to show electrical utility companies exactly how you protect privacy on the smart grid. And the answer is what we call privacy by design. At its essence, privacy by design is proactive in nature. You embed privacy protective measures directly into the systems you're creating for the smart grid. And you make sure that privacy is the default option, meaning there's always privacy. If the electrical utility wants to engage in the smart grid, fine, but it can have no implications in terms of excessive use of personal information beyond what's taking place now that the customer is aware of. Privacy is the default. It's built into the system proactively, and you don't have to ask for it as a customer. You will have the comfort of knowing it's already embedded into the system by design. Now that we have two of the largest utilities working with us, partnering with us to show the world how you can do it practically, in real time, on the ground. I always say privacy can't just be an academic concept. It has to work on the ground. And how better to do it in terms of showing how this can play out with electrical utilities, the major utility companies in Canada. So this is the first time that I'm aware of that this has happened, because you have to understand the smart grid is just evolving. It's at its nascent stage, at the very, very first stage, and that's the ideal time to apply privacy by design, because it's easier to embed privacy into the design of a newly developing system than one that's already out there. So this is the ideal time, and the reason I was, again, so delighted to work with Hydro One and Toronto Hydro is by providing these best practices, we take the guesswork out for other utilities. We wanted to show them, here are the standards to follow if you want to protect your customers' privacy. If you want to engender trust and you want customers to sign up for the programs that utilities are creating to conserve energy, which we're all in favor of going green, this is how you do it. You have to be proactive about the smart grid. I was speaking at the U.S. Smart Grid Alliance in Washington a few months ago, and there was some concern on the part of the utilities there that, well, you know, the smart grid is in its infancy. We don't know what direction it's going to take, so surely we can't, figure out how to do this privacy thing at this early stage. And I said, no, you can do it right now. You're absolutely right. The smart grid is at its infancy, and I have no idea how it's going to roll out. You're the experts in terms of electrical usage. We know about privacy, though, and the time to embed privacy into the design of systems is during its infancy. This is the ideal stage to embed privacy by design. In fact, the smart grid is the perfect candidate for privacy by design because it's just at its initial developmental stages. It's easy to do right now. It'll be much more difficult to add it on as a new feature you bolt on after the fact. Much more difficult, much more costly. Now you can avoid the expense. You can avoid the agony of later data breaches because you're going to be able to avoid the data breaches. And it engenders trust and public confidence. It's win-win all the way.